Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Let's Clarify with myself, Melissa Thomas, and the one and only Angel Perry, who is the Executive Vice President of the Local Communications or the Communications Workers of America, Local 3108. Got to make sure I get extra great. But welcome, Angel. How's it going?
It's going good. How are you, Melissa?
Doing good, doing good. Always glad to have you on. So, of course, we got to get to what's top of mind for everybody, even as we're speaking, guys. This is day two of Donald Trump's historic second impeachment. So we're here to basically clarify everything that is going on from yesterday, day one, even until what's going on today. So for starters, Angel, let's clarify what yesterday was all about in terms of the constitutionality of the trial.
Right. So the original argument that came up when House Speaker Nancy Pelosi wanted to impeach Trump because of January 6th events. The Capitol was rioted and breached after a rally that the 45 had literally down the street from the Capitol. So there was about 45,000 people that showed up for this rally, and during the Electoral College certification, which was presided by then Vice President Mike Pence, they wanted to associate, and they're accusing Donald Trump for inciting the riots. Mm-hmm. So the argument was that they couldn't do that. One, he was about to leave office. I think it was like 11 days. Because it was the 20th for the inauguration of now President, 46th President Joe Biden. But when the constitutionalists looked up the history, the very first person to be actually out of office and still impeached and tried was War Secretary William Belknap. He was serving under President Grant at the time, and it was found that he was doing all kinds of corruptive things. He was very, not a good war secretary. And he got caught in his hand in the cookie jar. Mm-hmm. He resigned, and he thought that would stop the proceedings. But as our previous discussions, I had mentioned that once you are impeached, which is a type of indictment, and then the trial starts, if the Senate decides to convict, the punishment can be that you never serve public office again.
Right.
That's the goal this round with the second impeachment of Donald Trump. And that's when they found historically there was someone impeached that was out of office. You are responsible for what you do, no matter if, you stay in office and then it ends. But there was like 8 people found guilty out of 20. So 20 people have been impeached altogether, including Donald Trump. And out of that history, 8 people were found guilty. Now, 3 resigned. That then Congress then stopped the proceedings of impeachment. But when it came to Belknap, they were like, yeah, no, you going down, bro. you messed up. He made a lot of people upset, and they wanted there to be a historical record that, okay, even though you resigned, you did these things while you were in office, and we don't want you in public office ever again. So he was impeached. So and he cried. He resigned and cried. That's on public record. That man cried about being caught. He sure did.
Made sure to put on a show. He's like,
I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. But see, with this particular instance we are in today, Donald Trump's position is he didn't do anything wrong, and everything is free speech. So we do have free speech in this country. So.
Indeed. And on that note, that's actually the perfect note to pivot for that commercial break, because when we come back, Angel's going to break down exactly what those parameters are in terms of free speech, guys. It is not a get out of jail free card. Like, let's just say that whatsoever. So we're going to come back from this break, and she's going to break that on down for all of us. Stay tuned.
At Duke Energy, we deliver electricity and so much more, like free home energy assessments, rebates for energy-saving improvements, payment options to help you better manage your budget, and even bill credits for helping the community use less energy. So no matter what you're doing, we can help you make better energy choices every day. It's just another way we bring power to your life. How much can you save?
All right, guys, we are back to Let's Clarify. So go ahead, Angel, let's clarify the parameters of the First Amendment.
Right. So the First Amendment is so that the government cannot dictate what you want to say about something. I'm going to go on my soapbox. I have something to say. I'm allowed to say it. Mm-hmm. Now, on the same side of that same opportunity and privilege, as an adult, you still are responsible for the words that come out of your mouth. So, we already have in federal law and each state law, freedom to express cannot cause harm. So, to be more specific, you are liable if you slander. Slander is, I'm going to call that you're a thief, but then you never stole anything. Mm-hmm. You are responsible for lies, obscenities. You can't, be cursing someone out and then don't think you're not responsible for it. Anything pornographic, you can't be descriptive in that sense out in public. That is also a responsibility that you can be held legally responsible for. Sedition, you can't whisper in somebody's ear telling them, yeah, let's just go and break into the Capitol. Okay.
Precisely.
Incitement, meaning that you get someone worked up. Oh, they're coming for you, or they're going to take something from you, or you won't have a country unless you fight. Okay. Fighting words, anything that even will hint at violence, like a lot of laws, even in here in Florida, there's menacing laws. Most states have those. So I can't go up to somebody, even though I don't touch them or anything, and be like, this could happen, that can happen. Those kinds of things, fighting words. You also responsible if you have clearance, whether it's for a company or for the U.S. government. Classified information is proprietary information. You do not have the right to share proprietary information. Copyright and violations, whether you're in college and school, you can't copy somebody's speech, whether verbal or written. Trade secrets. So if I invent something, like I made peanut butter, and then the next guy's like, no, I made it. Well, how'd you make it? Well, here it is. Don't worry about that. You can't take someone's invention or idea and then claim it to be yours. Mm-hmm. Food labeling, non-disclosure agreements, anything that restricts or may cause harm of any kind, you are responsible for. So free speech has a responsibility to it, which seems to have been missed out of all of this.
Aha.
Apparently.
And to be honest, I'm glad you broke that down, because a lot of people, that's the counter argument. Well, freedom of speech, you can say whatever you want to. Like, no, if it leads to physical harm or damage to property, there's going to be some recourse. Like this, and this wasn't like just any old building. This is still the United States Capitol we're talking about. Like there's bound to be some recourse. And yes, over the course of these 4 years, President Trump was Teflon Don. Like there was a lot of stuff that did not stick. But just in my personal opinion, this one might, because this was pretty egregious in terms of just the response. And based on what you just shared as defined by law, what he expressed and several other people that, were party to him. So, his attorney, Giuliani, what do you say? Trial by combat. That's pretty obvious and plain. I'm like, did you just tell people it's okay to go to go smash? Like that is a problem.
Trial by combat in its definition is instead of actually having a panel or a judge determine the evidence, two people, it's a very old tradition in human society. If I'm right, then my warrior will win. Like the Romans did it. There's different societies in humanity's past. They would have a champion, and that would decide a decision to be made. So trial by combat is pretty serious. There could be it's a type of war, really.
Yes.
Whether it's one person or one champion or a people's that are deciding a decision. So the opposing sides, if people don't really understand, is the electoral votes were deemed valid. And those on Trump's camp were saying they were invalid because of the states that were included in those. Their election process was wrong. That's their assessment of what happened. Now, when Vice President Mike Pence is overseeing this electoral validation, the sentiment now is if we stop that particular proceeding, then that would invalidate the election. What people didn't realize is as of December 14th, that's when the electoral votes were validated. When each governor actually stamped the state's seal. All Pence was doing was validating each governor of all 50 states did their part, that the electoral college votes were looked at and accepted. That's what this last one in January 6th proceeding was. So even if they happened to be able to stop that congressional ceremony, the votes still counted because each governor already applied the state seals to the electoral votes.
Exactly.
Like they missed the boat on that. Stopping that last ceremony did not invalidate the electoral votes. It just didn't.
There you go.
So, but yes, you can say whatever you like. You are still responsible for the words that come out of your mouth.
Regardless.
Yes.
Yeah, so on that note, we will take that next commercial break. Okay. And when we come back, we're going to actually talk a little bit more about the White House's response to all of this, what President Joe Biden's been working on, and actually kind of bring in a little bit of the trial if we're interested. So stay tuned, guys. We will be right on back. The conversation continues.
I'm not picking it up. You pick it up.
I'm not picking it up.
Well, somebody's got to pick it up.
I'll pick it up. They're clean. 'Cause my hand is clean. Oh yeah, I'm Charmin Clean. That's how I know they're clean.
Charmin Ultra Strong is woven like a washcloth and just cleans better.
Yeah, I'm Charmin
The
Clean.
kid does have a point.
My hand is clean. Yeah.
Enjoy the go with Charmin. And for an extra clean finish, try Charmin Flushable Wipes.
All right, guys, we are back. And, basically continuing on with our conversation about day 2 of the historic second impeachment of what Angel likes to call 45 for
Yes,
President Donald Trump. But
45's impeachment trial.
man, number 2. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about what the White House has been doing in the midst of all of this, and how President Joe Biden has been responding to it. There were reports earlier about, him kind of not so much being involved with this, kind of not paying as much attention to it. And, the quote coming from the White House press secretary is, hey, the president is focusing on, running the country, which is what he was elected to do. And that, priority number 1 is the COVID-19 response. So, give us your thoughts on it so far. What have you been hearing in terms of the White House's response and his response?
So I think he's doing the right thing. I think it would be absolutely petty for him to get involved in a congressional activity. I mean, he's not of that branch of the government. He's the executive branch. He has totally different responsibilities. He's doing the right thing, staying out of it. But I did find interesting that what most people don't know is when a new administration takes over, the prior administration for either 2 years or even more may advise the new administration that comes in. But President Joe Biden decided that 45 does not need to know any information at all. Now,
good.
Granted, so we have to look at his resume. President Biden has already served 8 years as a vice president with former President Barack Obama. And then he was part of Congress in Senate and in House. I mean, he served 47 years before becoming president at the federal level of government. So not only does he already know global leaders, he knows most of Congress personally.
Right.
I don't think he needs advice of Donald Trump, which his hook and why people felt connected to him was that he wasn't a political career person. He was a businessman. He did real estate. He did a TV show. And that's what people connected with him is that, he was just a regular guy and he's, running the White House.
Well,
so I think that was Monday that, all security updates have been now removed from former President Donald Trump's desk. In addition to that, there was rumors that his helipad was removed from the was it Largo? What is
Mar-a-Lago.
So because when he was president and they had, what was it? Not Air Force One. What's the helicopter called?
Marine One.
Marine One is no longer at his behest and call. It reverted back to the city's rules that there's no helicopter pads. So that got taken from him last week.
How interesting.
He's a regular citizen now, so he has to go by, the regular rules of the city. Sort of. No longer
above the law.
Yeah, well, he wasn't really above the law. He had exceptions.
Well, he was trying.
Yeah, he had exceptions for being president, and Marine One is an exception because you have the responsibility of the country. But I just thought that was interesting. They decided to yank that from him as soon as possible.
They're like, we
just helipad no more. Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah. Nope. Especially how you living here now. Nah, we gonna.
Yeah. There's no more helicopters, sir. No more.
Precisely. So on this note, guys, we're actually going to bring in an NBC broadcast of the trial that's going on right now. This will be very brief, but we did want to give you guys a bit of a peek as to where we are right now. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys that quick share so you can take a look. And then when we come back, we'll talk about what we're seeing, all right? So do enjoy this quick view. Make sure we got our audio straight. And here we are. Stand by while we load, y'all.
Right.
That's always fun.
You hear the officer describe they're using munitions. The rioters, are using munitions against us. This video shows how the sprays that were described were used against the officers. In a separate Metropolitan Police Department radio traffic recording, you can hear an officer when he realizes the insurrectionists had overtaken the police line.
There's a victim, we lost the line! We've lost the line! All MPD, pull back! All MPD, pull back up to the upper deck! All MPD, pull back to the upper deck! ASAP! All MPD, come back to the upper deck! Upper deck! There's a victim who's blanked! 1033! I repeat, 1033, West part of the Capitol! We've been blanked and we've lost the line!
The MPD officer calls out 1033. That's the code for emergency. Officer in need of assistance. His words, we've lost the line. Hours after members of the House and Senate had left this area, on the west front of the building, the mob continued to grow, continued to beat the officers as they tried to get in. In this new security video, you can see the mob attacking officers with a crutch, a hockey stick, a bullhorn, and a Trump flag.
Yeah. So as you guys are hearing, that is the trial that is going on right now. And the focus of this one was actually the inclusion of new footage that we hadn't seen before. So, you know, Angel, kind of give your thoughts on what you've been seeing, and particularly that last one, because that was a very interesting vantage point, kind of seeing it from the inside of the tunnel. We've always seen the photos of what was going on the outside, but, you know, kind of give us your thoughts on what was going on there.
So, as previous shows that we discussed this on, a lot of those people, or several of those people, were police officers themselves. So let's take a little bit back on the belief systems that Trump supporters are always advocating for: back the blue, law and order, all of these things that are values to America as a society. No matter your political side, whether Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, independent, nonpartisan, you know, we respect those that serve in public office. Police are the first ones there. They're the first ones to run in. And this is just so surreal that you have the same people that insist that law and order is important, but then you see them beating police officers. Like I cannot unburn that picture out of my head. Like, I have so many family and friends that are police officers. I cannot imagine just a crowd of people that feel, the legislative process isn't the way to go. We have to beat officers in order to gain entry into a building so we can kill members of Congress, including the vice president. Remember, that was the goal, is to
That was the goal.
gain access to members of Congress and the vice president to kill them.
Yep. And that was one of the things they went over the course of the trial. Today, they played several clips of new footage of folks going through the hallways, going over in detail some of the things they were chanting, you know what I mean? And even one clip that they played earlier was actually a detail. I don't know if you'd seen it, but the gentleman that had his feet up on Speaker Pelosi's desk, they showed the stun gun that he had on his hip. Like, those of us, we've seen that picture a million times.
Yeah.
They zoomed in there and showed the actual stun gun, which was pretty fatal. Like, the amount of shock that it would output is pretty deadly. So little details like that.
They had one rider that passed away because the stun gun hit himself.
Oops.
And he already had heart condition, and he passed away that day. He was one of the 5. They breached the Capitol with the intent to end people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how you go from a rally, and let's just go down that rabbit hole. The rally was about being upset about the election. You didn't agree the election was valid. Okay. There is legitimate legislative process and court processes, no matter, even after, you feel the wrong person is in the White House. So you put down all 200 and some years of American tradition to act like a third world country and breach, a sanctum of our legislative process, our electoral process.
Right.
In order to do what? Kill people.
Right.
The goal was to kill people. Like, that's over and over again, no matter what video footage that you looked at, the goal was to kill people. There was people that had zip ties. There were pipe bombs.
Yep.
There
baseball
were
bats.
Baseball bats.
The gallows that was right outside.
Gallows was outside because they were intending on grabbing people from Senate chambers and hanging them amongst the 45,000 people that attended.
Mm-hmm.
So where is the civility in that? What was supposed to happen? Say, these people were successful in killing members of Congress and killing Vice President Pence.
Mm-hmm.
What was supposed to happen? Trump was supposed to go back to the White House and we're going to start over? Was there going to be an election, or was that supposed to be the point of, martial law? Because that was buzzed around. What was supposed to happen? Well, how were these people supposed to accomplish changing the government? Because that's all they were trying to do. They were trying to change government. Who was supposed to replace these people after their bodies were piled up in front of the Capitol?
Good question. That's a darn good question. And then, in light of all of that, because that is a valid point, I now have a question, because obviously, as you mentioned, all of this started with, and of course, this did not start on January 6th. Like, we know this has been an accumulation of,
premeditated.
Yeah, this was a priming from leading up to the election when, former President Trump was saying, if I don't win, it means the election was rigged.
Right.
And then when he didn't win, he said the election was stolen, and all of his supporters, got behind him and believed that. And then they did we see the insurrection. So then my question is, going forward, we see the response that happened to that, but going forward, is this something that's going to be a one-off thing, or do you feel like we're gonna be back here again?
I don't think so. I don't think this is like a forever new way to handle elections.
Mhm.
I personally believe this has to do with those people that supported Trump specifically. But this has never been seen before.
Right.
I mean, they chanted everywhere in this country, "Stop the steal." That was the chant.
Yep.
And no matter if you believe that something was wrong, there's legislative processes. I can't say that enough. I will keep saying it till I'm blue in the face, even though my eyes are blue.
She is technically blue in the face right now.
My shirt is blue. But, we've always been civil in handling the affairs of this country. And the second that a individual wants to take a life of another individual over policy and process, then we're just no better than any other country that had regimes and they, shoot up whoever because I have more guns than you do. We've always held ourselves to a higher standard. And in January 6th, we went in the slumps. You stopped using your words and you decided to take physical action in the means to take a life. And 5 passed away that day in that process.
Precisely. So yeah, hopefully we don't see this again. I'm following your answer with that.
I don't think so. I think the shock and awe and the idea that this couldn't happen woke a lot of things up. So no, that this would not happen this way again. I don't think so. There's no more shock. You have to catch someone by surprise to be able to be like, hey, I'm gonna do this even though this has never been done before. So
yeah,
that's where we're at. I don't think any government office or official or ceremony will ever not think this is a possibility ever again. That's on January 5th. No one ever thought this could happen. No one thought it would even go this far. January 6th, we are all wiser. And blood had to be spilled to learn that lesson.
Unfortunately. So on that note, we will certainly end it there. As always, guys, if you haven't yet, be sure to use the hashtag Let's Clarify. Leave us your thoughts, comments, questions, whatever. Leave that in the comments. Let us know how you feel. And then, of course, like, share, follow, subscribe. You'll find us at Florida National News, at FNN News TV, at FNN News Live. You can find us in all those places. And on Instagram, you'll find us at Florida National News. On YouTube, you'll find us at Florida National News as well. And if you want to follow Angel Perry as she continues dropping her truth bombs, she is on Instagram at A4Amazing. That way you can reach out to her. She can answer your questions. She is awesome. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much as always for tuning in. Angel, it is always a pleasure sharing the mic with you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
No problem. Ladies and gentlemen, continue to stay safe. Have a great rest of your evening. Take care.